Welcome, architectural enthusiasts. My name is Michael Avramopoulos and this is tutorial 4, and in this one we'll be looking at the beginning of the progress of creating a photogrammetry map. So in this part is section 1 of 2, and we'll be looking at how to extract a range of different site images through Google Earth to be ready to be used to create a functioning 3D form model. So let's get stuck into it. So to start, we will look at installing the relevant programs that we're going to need to use for this part of this tutorial. So in this case, it'll be Google Earth Pro. So you'll be able to just search that up quickly in Google, and you want to install this one for Windows in my case, or Mac if you're on a Mac. The other program we'll need to install is OpenView. This is the URL here you'll be able to use just straight away, and you can download the 64-bit version here as well, which will be used to take our screenshots. So we will open up Google Earth. So I'm going to use Photogrammetry as a reference plane for capturing our images today. So what we want to do is to start off with is we want to make a path. So that is on this option here. I'll name it Photogrammetry path. And from here I can create a path which the camera will follow. So to be able to capture the correct area, we want to do a crisscrossing pattern to make sure that the images we will capture will be as highly detailed as possible and capture all the area necessary to make our point map, which we'll go on to a bit later. So I'll just start by making some points. We'll cross over like this. You can do it roughly. We just want to try and make sure that hypothetically, if you're thinking about a camera following this path, all of the area that we'll find will be able to be covered. When we get back here, we'll make a square and we'll go back the other way. And we'll crisscross it all the way back. All right. Press enter on that. Okay, and we have our path here. We can double click to bring it down to our path and see. We should be able to click here, and this will be able to begin our path so we can see the sort of range in which it will fly. So we'll stop this here. What we can do is we can look at some touring options. So if we go up to tools and we press options, we can then see that the touring here has the options that we're going to show from which the camera will fly. So we want to look at the camera tilt, which is obviously set at 60 degrees, which is good. We like this sort of angle to be able to capture the sort of 3D form that you'll see here, which will help us create a 3D point map later on in a different tutorial. We might want to change the camera range, maybe a little bit smaller, depending on the wideness of your grid. You can span the area in which the camera is showing, just to be able to make sure that you capture everything as well and all the details, which will be as helpful as possible. The rule of thumb is the more images that you capture of all the different details in this fly through, the better your 3D model will come out in the end. So in terms of speed, we probably want to slow that down a bit, maybe we'll put in like 40, and we can then apply this and press OK. And then also just a quick one, we can go through our path here on the left hand side and click properties. In this we can edit obviously the altitude, which is going to be the biggest thing. We can change this from clamp to ground to absolute, and we want to make sure, depending on whatever area you're modeling, you can change it. So we might do 50 meters in the air and press OK. Now if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that this is higher up. So we want to make sure here. So I'll have a look over here. So see, we've got these buildings here that are in our map, but our path is lower. So we might want to make that taller. Go back into properties and the altitude. We set it for 100. Then we might be high enough above those buildings that we can get that detail. I might make it just a little bit more bigger. So we'll go back into altitude again. Just to be safe, we'll do 150. And that will be good. Any other properties we can change? You can change the style of the map. Obviously that's in just accidentally put some extra points in. Let me come in and make it higher. So yeah, go back into properties. Other properties include style and color, obviously the view, which is not too in, and measurements, which is not all very important either. So once we do this, obviously we can play again. And if we bring back to here, we can press play, and we can use this to check the speed and the path in which it's going to show to take all of our videos. So I recommend in doing this, you run this path once first, just to make sure all the detail comes up and is all rendered in this area, and then you run it next afterwards, so that we can then take our images when all the details rendered in. So I'll just cut back to when this is finished. So now that we've run our path once, everything should be adequately loaded for us to then run it again and also take our photos. So one thing we want to do inside of the Google Earth Pro program is, before we run it, not to interrupt our images, we want to untick the Footscray path on this left hand side here, just to make sure that we don't have all those lines in our images. So from here, we want to open up our earthbound view, which will just be this black box here. Very simple. This will allow us to take our screen captures as we run this program. So what you want to do is go into options and capture screenshot settings, and you'll come up with all these settings here. So you have a couple of different options, obviously for your different options on how you want to capture. In this case, we want to use a fixed screen rectangle, which I've neatly behind the scenes already figured out these width and heights to be able to capture the screen in here. So the main thing you want to do is you want to test this. You can use the custom rectangle region capture, which will bring up some measurements on your screen to be able to figure out how you can manually put these in. And just to make sure you do that to eliminate like watermarks and move around tools, so they will and watermarks down in the corner, and say this bar here, so that our model will not then be interrupted with all of those images. Most importantly, on this right hand side, we have this automatic timer delay. So we set that, I've got it set at every 2 seconds. This will change depending on how fast you're running your path, how quick it goes. So that'll make sure that you don't have to touch the screen while the path is playing. It'll automatically capture all of those. And then just standard save and capture, you select your file. So I've named one here, Footscray Google Images, in which I will be saving them into. And then once you're ready to do that, you can press start and it'll automatically start capturing images. So we'll run it again and I'll start it now. Start the capture and play your video. So it'll come back to the start. Without the path there, you'll be able to see, and it'll automatically start capturing. And we'll come back when that's all finished. So now I'll bring you back when we've finished our image capturing. So once it's finished, you can go to your folder, bring it in. You can see in here we've got all our images together. So they'll be all captured in there. These last two, you can see I've got the thing in there, so I can just delete those. And these are all my images here. So there you go, depending on the level of how many you've got, more images is better. And I'll see you in the next video to see how we put them together.